Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Over 50. And in this episode, we're going to be talking with my guest who moved from England all the way to New Zealand in her 50s. And we're going to be chatting a lot about other things too, but I think that's really interesting that she did that. So I'm very excited to welcome Patricia Beckley to the show. How are you?
Hi, Kwavi. I'm very well. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
You are welcome. You are welcome. And so the first question I always ask all my guests is, how old are you right now?
Okay, I'm 70 and I'm 71 in March. So nearly
when is your birthday in March? When is it?
25th.
Oh, okay. Mine is March 6th. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Happy birthday for the 6th of March.
Thank you. So let's, dive right in because I know our viewers are so interested in learning this. So tell me why you decided to leave England, comfortable England with all your family and everything, and move to New Zealand in your 50s. And how old were you when you did that?
Okay, well, I was 59 when I actually made the move.
Okay.
But we lived in New Zealand for a year when I was 45, when my daughter was 2.
Yes.
My husband, my then husband, was a teacher, and we did a teacher's exchange. So we lived in a New Zealand teacher's house for 2 years, and they lived for 1 year, sorry, and they lived in our house in England for 1 year.
Yes.
So we kind of lived a proper Kiwi lifestyle. And I just realized within a few days that I wanted to live here all the time.
Wow.
It took me 14 years to persuade my husband to come back. So by the time I actually got back here permanently, I was 59.
Wow. And what did that entail, like moving over there? Because, were you working when you moved? I mean, what did you do?
Yeah, at that point, we were running a business. We'd had our business for, probably 10 years by then.
Okay.
We had an NVQ assessment centre for the construction industry, which sounds very boring. And there was a lot of paperwork, but actually I loved it because I got to go on building sites. I got to meet loads of people.
Nice.
And the lovely thing was that you were giving people a qualification, guys who'd left school when they were probably 15, who always thought that they kind of didn't have many brains or anything, because in England, construction is kind of looked down on a bit.
Yes, of course.
And so we were giving them a qualification just by them working on the job.
Wow.
The job they've been doing for a long time. So they ended up with a certificate, so for me, that was a big deal because it kind of
that definitely helped them.
Yeah, so that's what we were doing when we left. And that was what enabled us to get to New Zealand, because someone from the New Zealand construction industry heard about us, came to England and visited us in our office, and then we were offered a job over here. So that's
nice. Nice.
Life is all about chances and opportunity, I think.
I definitely agree. And you still live in New Zealand till today?
I do. I absolutely love it. And the bonus for me is that I'm only 3 hours on a plane away from the Fiji Islands.
Yes.
When I was in my 20s, I used to live in the Fiji Islands for 2 years. So it's kind of my spiritual home. I've got a huge So being here in Auckland, I can just, or pre-COVID, I could just hop on a plane and go over there. So for me, New Zealand is the place to be.
Wow. And you talk about the Fiji Islands, that's like on my bucket list. So I need to get with you when I decide to go, because I really want to go there. It's like, the pictures are just absolutely gorgeous when I see them. So
it's a wonderful place, Kwavi, but the people are what make it special.
That's what I heard. Yes.
The Fijian people are the loveliest people in the whole world. Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
Kind and so lovely, and
Nice. Yeah, that's exciting. All right. So I also know that you are a writer.
I am. Yes.
And when did you start this? When did you start writing?
The first year of lockdown, doesn't it seem strange that we're now talking about years of lockdown? The first year
Yes.
of lockdown, 2020, I
Yeah.
was on my own. My husband of 26 years had just dumped me, or a year previously. And I'd spent the first 2 weeks of lockdown lying on the sofa, watching rubbish on Netflix, eating far too much chocolate, and feeling very sorry for myself. And then I thought, Pat, this is ridiculous. Just get a grip. Why don't you write a book? So I got some paper, and 3 weeks later, my first book, Daisy, was written.
Okay. Quick question. Was the book about him or was something else?
No,
Just...
no.
Okay.
Daisy is a historical family saga.
Oh.
Not my family at all.
Oh,
just
okay.
a family that popped out of my head. But it touches on things like racism, slavery, poverty, lots of things that I'm really passionate about. And yeah, it just popped out of my head. And since then I've published 3 more books, and I've got 2 more sitting with my editor at the moment. So,
wow.
So in 18 months, I haven't been as lazy as I was at the beginning of lockdown.
And you said you're 70 now, right? So that means you started at 68 writing these books.
69.
69.
So I'm 71 in.
Okay, so yeah, 2 years. Wow. And so is this a new career for you, I guess?
Totally,
or okay.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I suppose in my head, when I was a little girl, I probably always wanted to be an author.
But
I just came from a very ordinary, quite poor background, and it was never even an option. You know, I didn't even go to university. I just went straight to work. And so I guess it's always been there, like in the old days, which you're too young to remember, when we all used to write loads and loads of letters.
Oh, I remember that. Of course I do. Yes.
I always wrote incredibly long letters, 5, 6 pages. And when my parents died and I had to clear out the house, I found my mum had saved all the letters I'd written her from my 2 years in Fiji back in the 70s, like 100, a big pile, about 100, on that lovely thin blue airmail paper.
You know, it's so funny you were going to say that. I remember using that to write to my dad when I was in England in college. And the airmail letter, for those that don't know, it's a one piece and you have to kind of fold it over and then you put the address and everything. So, oh my word. Oh my.
So mum had saved all of them, and some of them had written big fat letters as well. And there were about 100 of them. Wow. So I guess writing has always been inside me, but I've never before the opportunity to do it, or the opportunity to combine with the inclination.
Yeah. I love what you said about, it was never a thing for you. And for the ladies listening, this is one of the reasons why I created this show. I want women to be aware that the possibilities are endless. Like Patricia said, she talked about growing up. No one really kind of instilled in her, you can write a book. And that's what happens sometimes. When we're younger, we have maybe these goals and dreams, but no one really nurtures them within, or sometimes people even tell you, why are you even thinking about that? Or they could even make comments like, people like us don't do that, And so when you hear those statements over and over again, you kind of give up. But I really believe that now is a chance for you to rekindle those dreams and desires, whatever they might be. And I know society sometimes wants to put us in a box and say, well, you can't do this. You need to be in the shadows. You don't really matter. But that doesn't have to be your story if you don't want it to be. Not at all.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. My daughter is now almost 28, and she is the absolute opposite side of the coin to me, because the world is definitely her oyster. She decided at school that she loved art history. So that's what she did at university. Wow. And then she went on and did a master's degree in it. Knowing that it probably wasn't the best career choice for looking to get a job.
Yes.
That didn't stop her. And so I'm full of admiration.
I love that. Yeah. And you know what? And she's going to be okay. That's the thing.
She's doing so well. She's doing so well.
Look at that.
Yeah. She left me when we came to New Zealand when she was almost 16, which is a really hard time to move a kid. She's my
true. That is true. Yeah.
So she had no one else here except her dad and I.
Yeah.
and then when she was 21, she decided to move back to London to do her master's degree. So she was there for 5.5 years.
Wow.
And it was hard, very hard for me, but I'm
I
delighted
know.
she's back now. She came back a year ago.
Oh,
She's
nice.
permanently, she's got a lovely Kiwi boyfriend, and she's
Oh,
so
nice. Oh,
but you're right, this younger generation of women have so many more opportunities, and it's wonderful to see them take advantage of it.
yes. I think because it's there for them to take, it's there for them to take. And so I also want us as women that are older to realize that we still have opportunities available to us. Even though maybe growing up it wasn't readily available, or we didn't have people to encourage us, now we can. Now you can do that. So if you want to start a new career, go for it. If you want to go back to school, go for it. I really want this show to inspire and motivate women to rediscover their purpose and passion in life.
Yeah. Well, Kwavi, from what I've seen, and I often watch bits of your show.
Yes.
You're doing that so well. You are inspiring, and you're so fabulous yourself. You're
oh, thank you.
Role model. You stand there and you dance and you wear these fabulous clothes. You're very inspiring.
Thank you. But I have to say this, it wasn't always that way. Like, okay, and I think we probably all go through those stages where you know who you are, and then you get to maybe the teenage years, and then people make comments about how you are, and then you kind of like, okay, maybe I'm too much for these people. I'm going to change who I am to kind of fit in. And that's what I did for a while. I was like, okay, because I love dressing up. And then, but sometimes people are like, why are you all dressed up? And then I'll try and fit in and wear something more casual to kind of fit in with what other people were wearing. But now I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be me. And some people may not like it. Some people may, but that's okay. And I'm telling you this because I want everyone listening to know that that's always going to be the case. Not everyone's going to like it, and that's okay.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. I would say my husband dumped me 4 years ago, almost 4 years. So I was like 67. So I was, until that point, I had spent 67 years trying to please people.
Oh, yeah.
And now I don't anymore. Now I try and please myself. And it's such a wonderful feeling.
It is. It's freeing. Oh my God.
Freeing. And my daughter said just the other day, she said, Mum, you even hold yourself differently now. Well, it's because my ex-husband used to say to me, oh, you're so short, and it's such a shame you didn't go to university, because you're, and things like that just over the years just kind of pull you down.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah, so when you don't have that anymore, you can just be yourself. You can be this author. You can do what you like. You can go where you like. Just everything is what.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Oh my goodness, I love that. But you're right, though. When you hear those statements over and over again, it kind of, eats into your confidence. It does.
It absolutely does. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm so glad, you're talking about this and now who you are. And then your daughter even notices that, even the way you're carrying. And this is what happens. You begin to show up in a very different way.
Totally. And also, Kwavi, when you've been cheated on, and I've had 2 husbands and they've both done that several times, that makes you feel really inadequate. Well, it makes you feel less of a woman, like you're worthless. And so to not have any of those burdens now, it's just wonderful. I don't have to think, oh God, where is he? What's he up to? It's I think getting old is actually quite a bonus for me.
I think it is. It's an amazing, beautiful thing. It is. It's just because we have this amazing opportunity to now start to think, okay, what is it that I really want to do?
Exactly.
You have all these amazing opportunities, and maybe there's some things from your childhood that you kind of pushed aside.
Yeah.
Maybe you can decide, okay, you know what? I want to do this now. Like one of the things I'm doing now is, many years ago, I used to roller skate when I was I was 8, 10 years old. I started doing it again. I'm like, I want to roller skate again, so you just never, you can. And when you start to rekindle those desires, you show up and people notice like, what are you doing? It's like, they can tell your whole face just lights up. It's different.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think that's really true. I mean, neither of my ex-husbands liked my music. I'm a soul and Tamla Motown girl at heart, because that's how I was. So I was never allowed really to play that.
Yeah.
And I remember at my 50th birthday party, which I had at home in England,
Yes.
I'd got all this soul and Tamla music ready to play
Yes.
on a, like a CD player. You remember
Yes,
those?
of course you have to have them. Yes.
And then halfway through my party, I suddenly realized that there was different music on it. It was like the Rolling Stones and Meatloaf and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said to my husband, why is that music? Oh, he said, no one liked your music, so I changed it. And that was my birthday.
That was your birthday party. That was your 50th, milestone birthday party.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that kind of stuff, I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was another pact.
Yeah. Oh, and listen, for the ladies listening, listen, you can play your own music. Seriously, you can. And I know sometimes it takes time if you've been in a situation where you've just catered to others for so long. It takes courage to now say, you know what, I don't want that. I want to do things for me. But I want to let you know it's possible. It does take time, but it's so possible. And it's such a great gift to give to yourself when you do that.
It is, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So tell us a little bit about, so I know you have that first book, Daisy. Tell us about the other two. You have two others, right?
Okay, so I wrote Daisy, and then I wrote my memoirs, which I kind of thought long and hard about it, because I've had a pretty interesting life, but there's been a few things. So and then I thought, no, just do it, Pat, just do it. So I wrote it. It was very cathartic to write. And it's actually being very well received, which I'm
nice.
Really
yes.
And I think a lot of people have said, particularly women of my kind of age, have said it's really helped them, because it's made them see that you can go through some horrible stuff and come out the other end and be happy and successful and just yourself, really.
Yeah.
And I think for me as well, writing it down made me realize women of our generation, my generation, sorry, you're much younger than me.
Well, not much younger. I'm only 20 years younger, but we're all in the same group right now. Well,
but women of my generation didn't have the same options. Like I've also co-authored a book called the Warrior Women Project.
Yes.
Which I've done with 21 other women, and we all wrote our stories. And my daughter's boyfriend was reading my little bit, and he said to me, Pat, why did you marry those two men? They obviously weren't right.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he said, why didn't you just live with them and find out what they were like? I said, because like in my day, nice girls didn't live with men. You married them. You were supposed to be a virgin when you got married, and you just married them. I said, if I had lived with either of them for 3 years, 3 days, I wouldn't have married them.
3 days, wow.
Because in those 3 days, I would have.
You would have noticed, yeah.
This 30-year-old man was horrified.
Wow.
I can't believe that. That was. I said, Mike, if you talk to many women of my age group, that is how it was. A lot of them married. I mean, I got married for the first time 2 weeks after my 20th birthday. I was a kid,
yeah.
I came from this poor but loving family where no one ever shouted. Everyone was nice to each other. And suddenly I was in this marriage with this chap who had a really not very nice temper.
Oh, wow, that's shocking. And you were young.
And I didn't know how to cope. And my parents hadn't wanted me to get married. So I didn't tell them. In fact, for the whole 15 years I was married to him, I didn't tell anyone that it was. But at that age, that wasn't unusual for my generation. We all just went into it because society wouldn't let us do anything else, really.
Yeah.
So I'm delighted that things have changed, that girls can now get to know someone.
I definitely agree. And that term, nice girls don't, I mean, what does that really mean? Do you know what I mean? When you make statements like, it doesn't mean anything, No,
it doesn't. Well, my mother, bless her, sorry, Mum, she's up there in heaven. She didn't tell me the facts of life. She was too embarrassed, which again is a very common thing. Very common. All she said to me was, don't get into trouble. I had no idea what she was talking
Right,
about.
right.
Absolutely no idea.
What kind of trouble?
And it was only a few years later, when a girl down the road got pregnant before she was married, that I discovered what she meant. So girls of my generation, we were really like lambs to the slaughter, because we had no idea about life.
Yeah.
So I think life has improved so much for young women.
Yes, it has. It definitely has. And I think even when you talk about discussions, like menopause is still not talked about enough, in my opinion. And so we have to change some of these conversations where we're talking more about this so that we know. Because right now, a lot of people are going into this phase and having no clue. And then they're like, oh my goodness, what happened? That's what happened to me like 6 years ago. I was like, what? My mom never told me. And so I think we can do more for the next generation by educating them about what all of this, all phases of life, so that they have an idea and we can be an example for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I agree, because menopause is ghastly. I mean, one minute you're this fabulous, 40-year-old something, and the next minute you're this hot, grumpy wreck, really.
And and you know the thing, I think it's different for everyone. So I think, but I also think, like for you, I know back, because like when I look at the images, that's the way they describe it. Like, you feel hard, and then you have all these images of frumpy women. But guess what, though? It doesn't have to be that way. No, you can experience it in such an enlightening way. But if you don't know, you can't do anything. So if you know that, we can change it, because society's view is, once you hit menopause, you don't need to be talked about. You don't matter. They want to push you aside. They don't even want to talk. They didn't want you to be seen. And so we are trying to change that narrative where, okay, yeah, I can have menopause. I can go through these different things, but these are the options for me. And let's have meaningful conversations about it.
I think that's very, very good, because I've got a girlfriend, one of my dearest girlfriends. She's 85 now.
Yes.
I met her when she was 49.
Just
50. We were working for cancer research together, and we had her 50th birthday celebrations at work, and she was looking not very cheerful, and she's usually very bubbly, and I said, Valerie, what's wrong? She said, well, I'm turning 50. She said, that means I'm going to become square. My body will go square, and I will be invisible. And I was 35 when she was saying this, and I thought, oh. And it really sat. Well, that's 35 years ago, and I still remember it. Her saying that, I'm going to turn square, she said, and I will be invisible. And that's how people used to look at it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we just want to change that narrative. But see, that stuck with you from so long. And think about that. If we don't share something else with the younger generation, that's what they're going to think. They're like, oh goodness, it's all over. I get to this age, it's a death sentence. After this, nothing happens. And we really want to change that. We want to change that. And also inform women that they can get help. Because I think that's the other thing. A lot of women just kind of suffer in silence with menopause. There's help available. And you get to decide if you want to do HRT, if you want to go for a natural remedy, but there are lots of options available.
Absolutely.
And I just don't want women to suffer in silence, because they don't have to if they don't want to.
No, they don't. And I think the more older women we've got as role models, the better. I had a friend, she died 2 years ago. She was 103 when she died. I did some volunteering through the Salvation Army, and I used to go and visit old people and have a cup of tea and chat. And I already had 2, so it was taking up quite a lot of my time. And then the lady from the Salvation Army phoned me one day, and she said, Pat, could you spare another day to go and see I've got this lovely lady I met yesterday. It's only a short-term commitment because she's 96. So I said, oh, okay. So I went and instantly Rita and I just became tiny little lady who'd been a widow for 50 years. And so, she grew up on a farm. She was the youngest of 6 children, and she didn't want to be a farmer. She wanted to be a waitress. Now, this is back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
So she said to her parents, I want to be a waitress. She persuaded them to let her move up country all alone at 16 to train as a waitress.
Wow.
She absolutely loved it. But then, of course, a few years later, she met her husband, and women of that age had to give up work when they got married.
Of course. Yeah.
Anyway, so by the time I met her, she was 96. And
Wow.
we became so close. And
Oh, my word.
she couldn't leave the house. She'd had falls, and so she couldn't leave the
Yeah.
house. But I used to go and visit her, and she'd say, "Oh, look at my new clothes." She would go online and order new clothes.
I love it.
2 days before she died, I went to see her, and she had this beautiful skirt on. And I said, "You look fabulous." Oh, she said, "Well, I was getting a bit short of skirts, so I think a few more." She was 103, Kwavi.
Wow.
And she also used to dye her hair red.
Wow.
She had someone come in every day to shower her because she
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
manage. But once a month before her lady came, she would nip into the bathroom and colour her hair red because she didn't want to look old.
Wow. But you know what? I love, I mean, can you imagine the stories with someone like, I mean, oh my word.
Yeah. So I think with role models like that, and all those fabulous women in New York, do you remember seeing those?
Yes.
Yeah. Just perfect. So I think that's our job now.
Yes, it is, for sure. It is.
We've got to be like, for my daughter and her friends, they all think I'm great because my husband dumped me with no warning, and it was an awful shock, and I had to sell everything, and I ended up with next to nothing, and blah blah. But my daughter and her friends are very impressed because I picked myself up.
Yes, you did.
I'm now a published author, and I'm living life, and so I feel that that's good because they can see that actually life will mess you about.
Yeah.
That you can keep bouncing back up.
Yeah, you definitely have done that. Oh, so I mean, so nice to hear that. So tell me, so are you coupled up? Are you single? What are you doing? Are you dating? I have to ask.
Oh, well, I've spent my whole entire adult life since the age of 20 being in couples. I have realized that I'm too compliant. I'm too much of a people pleaser. I give up my own desires to please a man. And so for the last almost 4 years, I've been completely single. Partly because I haven't actually seen anyone that's made my heart flutter, that's made me want
good
to
enough.
get involved. But also I think I needed this time to get my head right. To get rid of all that stuff that was in the past and realize that I am actually someone who's quite worthwhile in their own right.
Oh, yes, you are.
Something to offer the world, and I don't just want to give that all away to some random man who's going to use and abuse me. That's it.
I love it.
But just watch this space, because I don't ever want another husband. But even that, you know, my daughter's convinced when I'm in my 80s I will get married again. But at the moment I wouldn't mind a lover. Or a nice man to go and have a bit of fun with. What I would like is someone that wants to have fun, though, not an old man who's set in his ways. You know, I still want to go dancing and partying.
Exactly. Of course, yes. Oh my, that'd be so much fun. Of course, but why not? Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're setting a different example of how women 50 and over should live. So yeah, why not?
We haven't just given up and gone into the pearls and twin sets and grey permed hair.
No.
Having said that, during lockdown, I had this great big grey bit down the middle.
Yes.
And I kept looking in the mirror and thinking, am I ready to go grey? But no, I'm not. So as soon as I was allowed to go to the hairdressers, that was it.
And you know what? I love that. And that's what I tell women. I'm like, listen, do you? If you love your gray and you want to keep it, that's fine. But if you want to change the color, why not? You want to have it blue, green? I'm like, see, for me, it's like being true to who you are is just the best feeling in the world. It's the best feeling in the world. It really is.
It is. I didn't start coloring my hair until I was about 55 because my husband didn't think I should.
Wow.
I didn't have my ears pierced until I was 33, and I left my first husband because he always said I shouldn't wear earrings because I'd look like a gypsy. So as soon as and he didn't like me having short hair. So as soon as I left him, my first husband, I went and had my hair cut short and got some earrings. So I've kind of always been a rebel, but I've always been subdued.
Yeah.
I'm not subdued anymore, which is
no. Now that the real Patricia is coming out.
Absolutely.
So I want to share this with all of you. Listen, it is never too late to be who you want to be. For real, it isn't. It doesn't. It's just not. It's not too late. So I want to just thank you so much, Patricia, for just sharing your story. I know it's going to help a lot of women. And for those listening, thank you for spending time with us today. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bobby. Thank you.
All right then. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed listening to the show, you have to take a look at Flourish, my monthly online community for women in their 50s and beyond. We talk about the important issues affecting women in their 50s and over and provide tools and resources to help you live your best life. Join me by clicking the link Flourish Online Community in the About Me section below. I'd love to have you join me. See you there.